They call it the Queen City. But if you are paying attention, Charlotte, North Carolina has quietly become something far more significant. It is the new Black Mecca of the South. It is the second largest banking hub in the entire country. While other cities chase headlines and cultural clout, Charlotte controls the actual money, the vaults, the wire transfers, the mortgage approvals that determine who builds generational wealth and who does not. Most people think of Charlotte as a nice southern city with tall buildings and good barbecue. What they do not realize is that beneath those glass towers on Tryon Street and inside those sprawling estates in Myers Park, there is a revolution happening. Black women are no longer just working in Charlotte's economy, they are commanding it. They are not just managing departments, they are running entire divisions of Fortune 500 companies. They are not asking for opportunities, they are creating billion-dollar pipelines that did not exist before they arrived. We are talking about executives who sign off on hundreds of millions in loans every quarter, media powerhouses who decide which stories shape the city's conscience, political leaders who control budgets larger than most small countries, and entrepreneurs who turned side hustles into national franchises that employ hundreds. Let's begin. Number 10. Tiffany Wilson, the healthcare executive. In a city obsessed with finance, Wilson represents the other pillar of Charlotte's economy, healthcare. As a senior vice president at Atrium Health, one of the largest healthcare systems in the Southeast, Wilson oversees operations that generate hundreds of millions in annual revenue. But here is what separates her from your average hospital administrator. She did not just climb the corporate ladder, she rebuilt it. Wilson started her career as a registered nurse on the floor, dealing with the chaos of emergency departments and understaffed units. She saw the inefficiencies firsthand, the wasted resources, and the poor patient outcomes driven by disorganized systems. While others complained, Wilson earned her MBA from Queen's University and positioned herself to fix the problems from the top. Today, her division manages capital expenditures in the tens of millions. She decides which facilities get upgraded, which technologies get implemented, and how Atrium positions itself against the growing competition from private equity-backed urgent care chains. Her compensation package, including bonuses and stock equivalents, places her comfortably in the high six figures annually. It is the kind of authority that comes with a corner office and the ability to approve seven-figure budgets without seeking permission. Number 9. Danielle Clapper, the luxury realtor and wealth strategist. Charlotte's real estate market is on fire. The city is growing faster than almost anywhere in the South, and with that growth comes a feeding frenzy for premium properties. Danielle Clapper has positioned herself right at the center of that storm. As one of the top producing luxury real estate agents in the Charlotte market, Clapper moves properties in Quail Hollow, Providence Country Club, and the gated communities of South Charlotte, where homes start at $2 million and climb rapidly from there. But Clapper isn't just showing houses, she's a wealth strategist. Her clients are NBA players, banking executives, and relocated tech workers with stock options they are ready to convert into brick-and-mortar assets. She understands that in Charlotte, real estate isn't just about finding a nice place to live. It is about positioning yourself in the right zip code where your property value will compound as the city continues its explosive growth. Clapper's typical commission on a $3 million sale is somewhere around $90,000, and she's closing multiple deals like that every quarter. Her annual income easily breaks into the high six figures, and that's before you factor in her own real estate portfolio. She owns rental properties across the metro area, generating passive income that funds her lifestyle while she continues to hustle for the next big listing. What makes Clapper's wealth significant is how replicable her model is for other Black women in Charlotte. She didn't need a trust fund or a corporate job. She needed ambition, a real estate license, and the willingness to work weekends when wealthy clients want to tour homes. She built her empire one closing at a time, and now she's the go-to agent for anyone who wants to plant a flag in Charlotte's most exclusive neighborhoods. Number 8. Kimberly McLeod, the private equity strategist. If you don't know McLeod's name, that's by design. She operates in the shadows of Charlotte's finance industry, the private equity world where fortunes are made through leveraged buyouts and portfolio optimization. As a managing director at a Charlotte-based private equity firm, McLeod evaluates acquisition targets, structures deals, and sits on the boards of companies her firm has purchased. This is the big leagues. We're talking about firms that buy manufacturing companies for $50 million, strip out inefficiencies, and sell them 5 years later for $200 million. McLeod gets a cut of those returns. Her compensation structure includes a base salary in the low six figures, but the real money comes from carried interest. When her firm closes a successful exit, she can walk away with bonuses that dwarf her annual salary. McLeod's path to private equity wasn't traditional. She started in investment banking at Bank of America, working 100-hour weeks building financial models and pitch decks. She watched the partners make the real money while she did the grunt work, so she positioned herself for the jump. She networked relentlessly, earned her MBA from Duke, and landed a role in a smaller private equity shop where she could prove her deal sourcing abilities. Now she's a decision maker. She evaluates which companies are worth acquiring. She negotiates with sellers. She interfaces with management teams post-acquisition to ensure the portfolio companies hit their growth targets. Her influence extends across multiple industries because her firm's portfolio spans logistics, healthcare services, and light manufacturing. Number 7. Monica Jones, the nonprofit powerhouse. Nonprofits don't make you rich, right? Wrong. Not if you're running one of the largest and most politically connected organizations in the city. Monica Jones is the CEO of a major Charlotte-based nonprofit focused on economic mobility and education. Her organization manages an annual budget of over $30 million, funded by corporate donors like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, and the city government itself. Jones didn't start here. She worked her way up through smaller community organizations, learning how to write grants, manage donors, and deliver measurable outcomes that justify continued funding. What separates Jones from other nonprofit leaders is her ability to speak the language of corporate America. She understands that Bank of America doesn't donate $10 million because they care about kids. They do it because they need to hit their corporate social responsibility metrics and boost their public image in the communities where they operate. Jones gives them that. Her programs produce statistics that look great in annual reports: graduation rates, job placements, small business launches, and in return, she commands a compensation package that rivals corporate executives. Nonprofit CEO salaries are public record in many cases, and leaders of organizations this size routinely earn between $300,000 and $600,000 annually, plus bonuses tied to fundraising performance. Number 6. Dr. Angela Freeman, the education entrepreneur. Charlotte's K-12 education system is a battleground. Public schools struggle with funding. Private schools are expensive and exclusive. And in that gap, Dr. Angela Freeman built an empire. She is the founder and CEO of a network of charter schools that serve over 2,000 students across the Charlotte metro area. Freeman schools are not just doing well, they are thriving. Her flagship campus consistently ranks among the top performing schools in Mecklenburg County, which has attracted massive waiting lists and, more importantly, significant per pupil funding from the state. In North Carolina, charter schools receive public funding based on enrollment. With 2,000 students enrolled, Freeman's network pulls in somewhere around $20 million annually in public funding, which she uses to pay teachers, maintain facilities, and yes, compensate herself as the founder and chief executive. Freeman's reported compensation is in the low six figures, but that is just salary. As the founder, she controls the intellectual property behind her school model. She has been approached by education management organizations interested in franchising her curriculum. She has written books on education reform. She is a sought-after speaker at conferences. All of these revenue streams compound her wealth. But Freeman's real bet is on expansion. She is working to open additional campuses in fast-growing suburbs like Ballantyne and Huntersville, where parents are desperate for high-quality school options and willing to enroll their kids in charters. If she successfully scales to 5 or 6 campuses, her network could be generating $50 million annually in revenue, positioning her as one of the most influential education leaders in the state. Number 5. Tamara Houston, the Fintech disruptor. Charlotte isn't just about traditional banking anymore. The city has become a hotbed for financial technology startups, and Tamara Houston is leading that charge. As the founder and chief executive officer of a fintech company focused on financial literacy tools for underbanked communities, Houston has raised over $15 million in venture capital from investors who believe her platform can scale nationally. Houston's company offers a mobile app that helps users build credit, manage debt, and access microloans without predatory interest rates. It's a mission-driven business, but it's also a potential unicorn. If her user base continues growing and she can prove sustainable monetization, her company could be valued at over $100 million within 5 years. Houston owns a significant equity stake in her company. Estimates place her ownership at around 30 to 40% after dilution from investor rounds. If the company exits through acquisition or an initial public offering at a $100 million valuation, Houston could personally walk away with $30 to $40 million. That's generational wealth created from an idea she had while working as a product manager at a major bank. Number 4. Judge Tanya Wallace, the legal authority. Power in Charlotte doesn't just flow through bank accounts, it flows through courtrooms. Judge Tanya Wallace sits on the bench in Mecklenburg County Superior Court, where she presides over cases involving millions of dollars in civil disputes, criminal trials that determine freedom, and family law matters that shape lives. Wallace's judicial salary is public record. Superior Court judges in North Carolina earn around $160,000 a year. But that is just the baseline. Wallace also teaches as an adjunct professor at local law schools, bringing in additional income. She is a sought-after mediator in high-stakes commercial disputes, commanding fees of several $1,000s per case. She has also written legal texts that generate royalty income. But Wallace's real wealth is her influence. As a judge, she has lifetime job security. She answers to no one except the law. She cannot be fired by a chief executive or voted out in most circumstances. That kind of security is a form of wealth that few people ever achieve. It allows her to live without fear, make decisions based on principle, and build a retirement portfolio without the anxiety that plagues corporate workers. Wallace also owns investment properties in Charlotte that she has accumulated over decades. She bought real estate in the early 2000s in neighborhoods like Plaza Midwood and Nodal that have since exploded in value. Her net worth, when you factor in real estate, retirement accounts, and her judicial pension, likely exceeds several million dollars. Number 3. Stephanie Davis, the corporate board queen. If you want to understand where real power sits in Charlotte, a look at corporate boards. These are the rooms where chief executive officers get hired and fired, where billion-dollar strategies get approved, and where executive compensation packages get decided. Stephanie Davis sits on 3 major corporate boards, including a Fortune 500 company headquartered in Charlotte. Davis did not start on boards. She earned her seat through decades of executive experience in operations and supply chain management. She rose to senior vice president at a global logistics company before retiring early to focus on board work. Now she collects board fees from multiple companies. Here's how the money works. Board members of major corporations are typically paid between $150,000 and $300,000 per year for each board seat. Davis sits on 3 boards. That is between $450,000 and $900,000 annually, just for attending quarterly meetings, reviewing strategy documents, and voting on major decisions. But the real wealth comes from stock grants. Board members receive equity compensation that vests over time. If the companies perform well, those stock grants can be worth millions. Davis has been on one of her boards for more than 10 years. Her accumulated equity in that company alone is likely worth several million dollars at current valuations. Number 2. Lisa Thompson, the real estate developer. Charlotte is being rebuilt in real time. Cranes dot the skyline. Old neighborhoods are being demolished and replaced with mixed-use developments. Lisa Thompson is one of the developers making it happen. As the founder and chief executive officer of a minority-owned development firm, Thompson has successfully completed projects worth over $200 million in total capitalization. Her company specializes in mixed-income housing developments, the kind that blend market-rate apartments with affordable units to qualify for city incentives and tax credits. This model is incredibly lucrative if you know how to navigate the financing. Thompson secures low-interest loans from the city, tax credits from the state, and private equity from investors who want to park money in real estate. Here is how developers make money. They do not build with their own cash. They use other people's money, investors, banks, and government programs. Thompson might put in $5 million in equity to unlock a $50 million project. When the project is complete and fully leased, it gets appraised at $70 million. She refinances, pulls out her original $5 million plus profit, and still owns the asset that generates cash flow from rent. Thompson has done this repeatedly across Charlotte. She owns equity stakes in multiple apartment complexes that collectively house thousands of residents. Her net worth, when you include the value of her real estate holdings, likely exceeds $20 million, and it is growing every year as rents increase and property values appreciate. Number 1. Christine Nelson, the mortgage queen. And now we have arrived at the throne. The woman who sits at the very top of Charlotte's economic pyramid is Christine Nelson. She is the executive vice president and head of consumer lending at one of the largest banks in the United States. In a city defined by banking, Nelson is royalty. Let's be clear about what this role means. Nelson oversees mortgage lending operations for a bank that originates hundreds of billions of dollars in home loans annually. She manages thousands of employees. She sits on the bank's executive leadership team. She advises the chief executive officer on strategy. She testifies before Congress on housing policy. Her decisions ripple through the entire American economy. Nelson's compensation package is in the millions of dollars annually, including base salary, performance bonuses, and stock awards. Executives at her level routinely earn between $5 and $10 million per year. But her wealth is not just about salary. She owns significant equity in the bank, stock grants that have vested over decades of service. When you factor in her stock portfolio, real estate holdings, and retirement accounts, Nelson's net worth likely exceeds $50 million. But here is what makes Nelson truly powerful. She controls access to the American dream, home ownership, the single largest driver of generational wealth in this country. As the head of consumer lending, Nelson oversees the policies that determine who gets approved for a mortgage and who does not. She influences interest rates, underwriting standards, and outreach programs aimed at increasing homeownership among underserved communities. Nelson also serves on the boards of national housing policy organizations. She is consulted by the Federal Reserve. She speaks at economic forums where central bankers and Treasury officials gather. She is not just rich, she is influential at a level that most people cannot even comprehend. From Tiffany Wilson's healthcare operations to Christine Nelson's mortgage empire, these women prove that Charlotte has become the epicenter of Black female economic power in the South. They are not just participating in the economy, they are running it. They are not just earning salaries, they are accumulating equity. They are not just building careers, they are creating dynasties. Which of these Charlotte powerhouses inspired you the most? Was it the courtroom authority of Judge Wallace or the financial dominance of Christine Nelson? Let us know in the comments below. Do not forget to like and subscribe as we continue mapping the landscape of Black wealth across America. We will see you in the next one.